A Christian king, Najjāshī.
The ruler of Abyssinia, Najjāshī, was very kind to the migrants. When the leaders of the disbelievers heard this news, they were enraged and thought that the Muslims were becoming a real source of danger for them. They decided to take strong measures to stem the rising tide of Islam. After a great deal of thought, they evolved a plan of action. They sent the leading politician of the Arab world, Amr bin As, and Abdullah bin Abi Rabi'a with expensive gifts for Najjāshī in order to persuade him to hand over the Muslim migrants to their custody. Before meeting the ruler personally, they met the important advisors and ministers laden with gifts for them as well. This was to lay the ground for the final talks with Najjāshī himself. They presented their viewpoint and arguments for demanding custody of the migrants very strongly, and appealed to them for help in persuading the ruler. The ministers assured them of full cooperation and help. Finally, they presented themselves before Najjāshī, and after offering their gifts and respectful salutations, they proceeded to present their case. The refugee Muslims who were persecuted for their religious beliefs they called crazy rebels, who were sowing discord within families and tribes because of their heretic views. Fathers were opposed to sons, and brother was fighting brother. They were breaking away from the traditions and beliefs of their forefathers and were following some weird new faith. They had been allowed to live peacefully because of the generosity and liberal views of Najjāshī, but they were not to be trusted. They could cause trouble in his country as well, since they did not believe in the Christian faith either. The best solution would be to hand them over to the Quraysh, who knew best how to deal with them. Najjāshī looked towards his courtiers for their opinion. They agreed with the viewpoint of the Quraysh that this was an internal dispute and the political refugees should be handed over to the representatives of the Quraysh. Najjāshī was a fair-minded, far-sighted, and frank man, so he called for the leader of the refugees to present their case. The delegation chose Ja'far bin Abī Ṭālib raziallahu anha as their leader. When the delegation reached the court of Najjāshī, they wished him and took their seats. Amr bin As immediately found fault with them, saying they were too arrogant. They should have followed the formal protocol of the court and prostrated themselves before the ruler. Najjāshī asked them why they had not observed the decorum of the royal court. Ja'far raziallahu anha replied that they believed that they should prostrate only before the Creator and not before any of the Almighty's creations. This would amount to worship of a being other than Allah. Najjāshī replied that he heard they had adopted a strange new religion.